Hello, now if you're thinking of taking out breakdown insurance or you're thinking of renewing your breakdown insurance, please watch this video and see how one of the two major breakdown insurance providers in the UK treats its customers. It throws up a lot of issues that you might not have previously thought of. So this is a bit of a long, rambling story. So get yourself a cup of tea or something a bit stronger, make yourself comfortable, or if you like, there's lots to tell, so it's going to be more like a podcast with pictures. So if you want to go off and do the washing up and have this playing in the background, by all means do that as well. I want to apologize a little bit too, because some of the footage in this video will be portrait, so it'll be up and down footage, not the usual landscape footage, because I wasn't expecting to make a video about this experience, but there you go. Now, I originally swore I would never use the RAC again after I broke down with my Nissan Navara in 2012. The clutch went, I was towing the caravan, we were just outside Edinburgh, and it was January 2012, so middle of winter, freezing cold, and the RAC left us waiting most of the day in freezing conditions. And when a breakdown truck did eventually arrive, a recovery truck, the towing electrics didn't work on this truck, and we had to wait another 3 hours for another truck. And when I complained to the RAC afterwards, the attitude was, well, if you're towing a caravan in the middle of winter, what do you expect? So not very impressed then. But time is a healer, and last year I got free RAC cover when I bought an ex-demo Triumph Speed Twin motorcycle. Oh yes, I might have forgotten to mention the Triumph Speed Twin 1200 that I bought last year, ex-demo. I've still got the Mutt, still got the 250, and I still use that probably more than the Triumph, but yeah. Anyway, so I checked the policy and it included car and caravan as well as motorcycle. So I thought, well, I no longer need my Caravan and Motorhome Club red pennant, not red pennant, Mayday. I no longer need my Caravan and Motorhome Club Mayday, which is done through Green Flag. So I didn't renew it, and I thought, surely the RAC is going to be okay, isn't it? Big mistake. First thing first, if you have Caravan and Motorhome Club Mayday and you get free RAC or AA insurance elsewhere, don't cancel the Mayday. Right, let me consult my notes. The journey I was planning was towing the caravan from Pickering in Yorkshire to my home in Dover, a total of about 300 miles. It had taken me 7.5 hours on the outward journey, including 2 car charging stops, which I needed those stops more than the car did. As I had to start a 2-day shift at work on the Wednesday afternoon, I left Pickering at 6:20 on the Tuesday morning so that I would be back early Tuesday afternoon, 24 hours before I needed to go to work the next day. So let me now run through what happened. On Tuesday at 6:20, I left the CS in Pickering, and at 6:30 the car broke down. I was getting a message that the 12-volt system wasn't functioning correctly. So it gave me the opportunity to find somewhere safe to park off the road. Unfortunately on the wrong side of the road, the lay-by, but that's a minor issue. So I tried to call the RAC, the phone said, oh no, it's best to do it online, fill out the form online. So I filled out the breakdown form online, and then the form online said, oh no, we can't deal with this, you need to phone us up. Yeah. So I phoned up and eventually got through to someone, and I got a message that it would be about 3 hours before someone would come to me, because let's be honest folks, I was not in danger, I was parked in a safe place, and I'm not a vulnerable person. I'm not disabled, I'm not pregnant, I don't have children with me, but of course I did have the 2 dogs with me, but they don't class as important. So at 9:50 Tuesday morning, the guy turns up from the RAC, and very nice, very polite, but he can't fix the car. He tries for over 40 minutes to try and get to the root of what the problem is, and he can't. So he says, we're going to need to be recovered. So at 10:40 Tuesday morning, he calls the recovery to come and get us, and we get another, what I now find out is bog standard message from the RAC going saying, oh, this is probably going to take about 3 hours. We also had a phone call from the subcontractors that the RAC subcontracted, asking if we would accept a hire car and have the car recovered at a later date to the garage of my choice. I said, that's fine, as long as you can give me a hire car with a tow bar, because I'm towing a Caravan. And they went, oh, we didn't know you were towing a Caravan. I told them about 5 times I was towing a Caravan. Because you can't get a hire car with a tow bar, I was not prepared to have my Caravan recovered with all my stuff in it, and yeah, so I had to wait for recovery. But it didn't take the 3 hours that the RAC told me it would take. It came at 11:55, so that was an hour and 15 minutes after they were called. And this was Beacon Recovery Services from Pickering, who the guy was lovely, and what I really credit Beacon Recovery Services of Pickering with is that the lovely recovery agent, he understood that people like me are more worried about our pets than we are about the vehicle. The vehicle is just a piece of tin, and the pets, especially my 14-year-old fragile dog Dougal, they are what's important to me, and I was worried about leaving them in the car in the blazing heat. And no, he said, fine, the dogs can come in the cab. So I was very happy about that. And at 12:25 Tuesday afternoon, we left the lay-by. And we went to Woodall Services on the M1 near Sheffield. It's not on the way to Dover. You don't go down the M1 to go from York to Dover. You go down the A1, but there you are. So he took us to Woodall Services, and we anticipated a 10-minute wait for the next agent to pick us up there, because this is a staged recovery. So we got there at 2:20. 2:20 Tuesday afternoon, we arrived at Woodall Services, and we expected, I can't remember how I was told, about a 10-minute wait till 2:30 for the next recovery service. So I bolted down a peanut butter sandwich and an apple, thought, right, you know, I don't want to be holding up the guy when he turns up at 2:30. At 14:42, I get a message from the RAC Special Intervention Team saying that their system shows that there is someone with us, but there isn't. So I text them back and tell them there isn't, and they said, oh, sorry, there'll be someone there at 1600 at 4 o'clock. So I didn't need to bolt my food after all, because they're not there at 2:30 as promised. They're going to be there at 4 o'clock. Did they turn up at 4 o'clock? Did they bog roll? They turned up at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock that evening, Tuesday evening. So 6 o'clock Tuesday evening, we've now been 11 and a half hours, nearly 12 hours, and we've done 85 miles. So we leave Woodall Services at 18:25, and hopefully for home. Because the guy even asks me, you know, am I prepared to pay the toll for the Dartford crossing? But then he gets a message to leave us on the A1 at Grantham North. So at 19:50, 10 to 8 in the evening, we arrive at Grantham North. And we've done the grand total of 46 miles from Woodall Services. On top of that, I get a text from the RAC to say that the vehicle has been attended to and we have reached our destination. What? So we broke down nearly 14 hours ago now, 6:30 this morning. It's nearly 8:30 now in the evening. We're still 200 miles from home. We've been literally abandoned in a car park at Grantham Services for the second time today. 200 miles from home, 14 hours after breaking down. I don't think I will ever forgive the RAC for this. Will you, Ted? Eh? Yeah. You tell him. You tell him, mate. You tell him. So at 8:30 p.m. on the Tuesday evening, the next recovery arrives, but this agent won't take the dogs into the cab. So I said, well, one of my dogs is very old and very vulnerable, so if you won't take them in the cab and they've got to travel in the car, thankfully it was evening, so it was cool, can I go in the car with him? Oh no, you can't do that. But then can I put my dogs in the cab? No, you can't do that. So I couldn't travel with a very vulnerable dog who's suffering with dementia. No, can't do that. And also on top of this, I told every single recovery agent that because the 12-volt system had failed, we need a battery booster, one of these booster things, to be able to drive the car onto the trailer, onto the low loader. And this guy's battery booster was registering 11.4 volts. That took a while. So at 9:15 p.m. on Tuesday, we leave Grantham North for Peterborough services. But that en route becomes Cambridge services, a total of 62 miles, but it takes a lot longer than it should because by now it's so late that the A1 south of Peterborough is closed for maintenance. So we get to Cambridge services at 10:50, 10 to 11 p.m. that evening, and I'm unloaded. Then, and only after I've been unloaded, the next agent calls the AASP group to say they have only just been called by the RAC to come and get us on the next leg of the recovery. And they have to come from Peterborough. That's right, the place that we passed through over an hour before. So now not only have we had all these roadworks between Peterborough and Cambridge that's held us up, we've now got to wait for the next recovery agent to do the same. And I just want to say about the agent from AASP Group, she was absolutely lovely. She absolutely understood our predicament. She could hear the despair in my voice by this point that we were over 14 hours, and just to be recognised as a human being and treated as a human being. The lady from the AASP group from Peterborough, sorry I didn't get your name, but she, oh my goodness, she should be in charge of the RAC. She should be the CEO of the RAC. Right. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, the next recovery arrives, and that's Archie from the Isle of Arran. And he hasn't come from the Isle of Arran, he's come from Peterborough. But Archie was called out from his bed to come and get us. So a big thank you to Archie, because they didn't have anyone else who can tow. And of course, we needed to tow the caravan. So big thank you to Archie. He was absolutely lovely. He let the dogs travel in the cab. We leave Cambridge at 1:20, but by now the caravan lights are not working properly, and I had a feeling the previous agent broke the plug because he needed to use a trailer board, the previous agent, and now we couldn't get the caravan lights to work properly, so that was no good, but we went anyway. Archie tells me that we're going to Thurrock services and he told me to ring the RAC to tell them we'd be there at 2:30, so we didn't have a repeat of this ridiculous situation where you get there and then the RAC tell the next agents to come and get you. So I told the RAC we'd be there at 2:30, and we went the grand total of 65 miles to Thurrock Services. But the problem is the agents from Thurrock Services couldn't tow. They had no one who could tow, and they rung us up and asked us if they could put us in a taxi, and I said no, because my caravan is full of my stuff, and I have nightmares of when we were recovered. When I was 9 years old from France, our caravan was recovered separately and it got damaged, broken into, and just no, I will not let my caravan be recovered unaccompanied. So what they eventually agreed to do is they eventually agreed that they would put the car into a pound and recover that the following day straight to the garage, and they would put the caravan on the low loader and take us on the next leg of our journey. And because they had no one who could tow the caravan behind the low loader. So we got to Thurrock at 2:45, ready to transfer. And one of the drivers was very proactive, very nice, of one of the low loaders, and the other driver just sat in his cab staring at his phone. At 3:30 in the morning at Thurrock Services, Wednesday morning, I'm left to it. I go to the other driver, but he storms off because he's fed up with his company. So we're left on our own. It is now 3:30 in the morning. It's been 21 hours since I broke down. The guy who was here to take the caravan has just stormed off because he didn't have the correct vehicle to load the caravan onto. He's got a beef with his company. He's supposed to finish in 1 hour and 27 minutes. And he's just driven off and left us here on our own at 3:30 in the morning. Me, the dogs, the caravan, no car. At 4 o'clock Wednesday morning, the nice driver turns up and returns to load up the caravan onto his low loader, but he can only take us to Medway Services. Medway Services, a grand total of 31 miles, and it leaves me a tantalising 40 miles from home. So at 04:45, 4:45 Wednesday morning, I get unloaded in Medway Services with no news about what's coming next. By now, I slip into a light coma for about an hour, because in the caravan, where we're just abandoned in the car park as usual, but I'm woken by a text at 6:45 from the RAC Special Intervention Team, telling me that someone is now with my vehicle. They weren't. At 9:15, that's 4.5 hours after arriving at Medway Services, the next driver turns up. He is lovely. He lets the dogs travel in the cab. The dogs are beyond shattered like me. And we leave Medway Services at 9:45. We get home at 10:45. That's 28 hours and 15 minutes after I broke down. It's 28 hours and 10 minutes from calling the RAC. So by now my 28-hour ordeal was over. I'd only had a very short cat nap in that time in the caravan for about an hour. And by now the migraine was coming on. So by 11 o'clock, I called in sick to work because there's no way I was leaving for work at 2:30 to go and do an overnight shift in a safety critical role when I've had 2 days of no sleep and a migraine. And by Wednesday evening, I was sitting in a hot bath, crying with the pain of the migraine. And you're in a hot bath because you're trying to equalize your blood pressure. Migraine sufferers, you know what I'm talking about here. So yeah, on top of the pain and the ordeal, I also have 2 days sickness at work on my record, and I've lost money. At least my car was safely delivered to Kia Orbital in Ashford, But before we talk about the Kia and what's wrong, let's finish the story about the RAC. So why the so-called link recovery? Why was I abandoned in so many car parks and have a grand total of 6, count them, 6 recoveries? Well, one of the drivers told me that if a driver goes more than 100 kilometers from their depot, yes, you heard that right, kilometers, not miles, then they have to use a tachograph, which then restricts their driving hours for the next fortnight, meaning they are less productive to their company. In other words, a link recovery is way, way cheaper for the breakdown service provider, despite the cost to the health, well-being and finances of the person being recovered. Now, a very nice woman at the RAC Special Intervention Team raised a complaint with their customer services department on my behalf to try and save me the bother. And the reply and the compensation I've had from the RAC is worth sharing. So it reads, "Dear Mr. Ditton ETA," yeah, I became Mr. Ditton ETA after one of the messages was Ditton ETA 230. But anyway, "Dear Mr. Ditton ETA, thank you for contacting us. I'm truly sorry to hear about your experience and you'd cause for a complaint. I'm personally handling your concerns and have investigated what happened. Summary of your complaint. I understand you experienced a 24-hour recovery process." No, mate, it was 28 hours. "Which led to you having to sleep in your caravan overnight and missing work." 1 hour. 1 hour's nap is what I got, not overnight. "Additionally, you mentioned that the pins on your caravan were damaged during the recovery and you're concerned about the lack of updates during the recovery of your vehicle, which is still in storage. My findings and outcome. While I acknowledge the extended recovery time, I must clarify that our terms don't guarantee specific recovery times. In other words, folks, they can take as long as they like to get you home. That could be a week. Who cares? However, I understand the impact this had on your plans, and I'm sorry for the experience you had. Regarding the damage to the caravan pins, I think it means the pins of the 13-pin plug, which were damaged by the middle guy who wouldn't take the dogs. We don't have any photographic evidence to confirm this, and therefore we won't be taking liability for the damage. You never asked for photographic evidence of the damage. And also, how can you show indicators not working? I'm pleased to inform you that your vehicle was returned by linked delivery on the 15th of May 2025. To address the inconvenience caused, this is the best bit, folks. Remember, 2 days off work, a migraine, 28-hour recovery, loss of wages. I'm offering a goodwill gesture of £40. Just let that sink in. So 2-day, 28-hour ordeal, the stress to me, the stress to the dogs, the effect on my health, the migraine, 2 days lost at work, money lost, damage to the caravan. I don't call £40 a goodwill gesture. I call £40 a flipping insult. Not happy. Please allow up to 21 days to receive the cheque. I've now closed your case. Once again, please accept my apologies for the inconvenience you have experienced. Kind regards, Nasir, RAC Customer Service. Customer Care, sorry. The cheque arrived and it's made payable to Andrew Ditton ETA. And guess what? My bank won't cash it because it's not made out to the right person. I haven't taken this back to the RAC yet, so we'll have to have an update to this video, won't we? So folks, do you think that was a goodwill gesture or was that a slap in the face? So this is why I've now decided to go public and shame the RAC and the way it treats people and their pets. Will I renew the RAC cover I got free through Triumph? Not on your Nelly, and neither will I go to the AA. I shall look into Green Flag and other smaller operators. If anyone has recommendations of a breakdown provider that they're really happy with, please leave them in the comments. Likewise, if you've had an equally bad nightmare experience with a company, again, please share that not only with me, but with everybody else in the comments below this video. I'd be really, really grateful. Oh, and here's a top tip if this ever happens to you. If you are stuck in a motorway service area and you're broken down, you have to let the operator of that motorway service area know that you have broken down. Because I was in more than one MSA for more than 2 hours, and if you're there for more than 2 hours, you might get whacked with a huge charge, a huge parking charge. But if you've broken down, they will waive that charge. And what you need to do is you need to go in and find either the manager, or in most cases, you can just go into WH Smith or a place where you would normally buy a parking ticket. You show them the text that you've got from your breakdown company. And if they're kind, like Moto were and Welcome Break, then they will waive any parking charges. But you have to proactively go in, show them the text and say, I have broken down, I am waiting for recovery, I am not here for the fun of it. And so far, so the people at Moto and at Welcome Break have been great. And I've also noticed, Moto and Welcome Break, that they now let dogs in the service areas. So that's brilliant. That is really, really good. And what about the car? What was wrong with the car? Well, it pains me to say nice things about Kia after the way that Kia UK's press office has totally and utterly refused to even acknowledge my existence, despite all the publicity that this channel has afforded the EV6 as an amazing towing vehicle. They don't reply to emails, they don't like my social media posts, and refuse to acknowledge that I even exist, let alone how much this channel has done for electric touring. But as you know, folks, this channel is based on truth and integrity, and to honour the truth through gritted teeth, I must tell you that the fault with the car was due to a faulty ICCU. Now, this provides the stable power to the 12-volt battery, which of course was toast by the time the car arrived at Orbital Kia in Ashford, because it was down to 1 volt. Now, normally a 12-volt battery is not included in your warranty, let alone a car that is more than 3 years old, because my car, believe it or not, is now more than 3 years old. But hallelujah for Kia's 7-year warranty, and hallelujah for Clive and his team at Orbital Kia of Ashford in Kent, who argued the toss with Kia that the 12-volt battery had been irreparably damaged by the failure of the ICCU. So Kia also covered the cost of the 12-volt battery under warranty. In other words, almost £2,000 worth of work was done to my car, and I did not pay a single penny. So props to Kia through gritted teeth. You might not treat people very well in the media side of things, but you do right by your customers. And I guess that's more important. So yeah, while Kia's UK press department absolutely sucks, their cars and their warranties are the absolute bee's knees, and I totally recommend the team at Ashford Orbital Kia in Kent if you're looking for a decent Kia dealership. So that, folks, is the whole sorry story. I hope you found this entertaining, if not useful. The way that the RAC and, I've been told, the AA treat people, that you have no time frame, and also you need to be aware of the fact that if you're traveling with pets, a lot of people won't take pets into the cab. Now, one of the drivers said he didn't understand that because it's down to the driver to keep his cab cleaned, and he vacuumed his cab every day. And yeah, as long as the dogs are well behaved, he didn't see any problem whatsoever. And you know how well behaved my two are. So yeah, that's the whole sorry tale. Right, speaking of dogs, I guess I need to go and get the stars of the show and wrap this video up. Trouble is, Dougal's deaf now, so I can't call him. I have to try and clap and get his attention. And then we do hand signals. Come on, Dougs. Oh dear, come on. All done. Dougal, not on the floor. Your public are waiting. Oh my goodness me. Ted, come on. Ted. No, Tedley, come on. No, Ted. Oh. Ted, you're being very difficult. Ted, I'll never work with children and animals. Ted, no, come on. You're public. They want to see you. Right. No, don't sit on Dougal's head. Right. Okay, folks. So thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed that, found it useful. I'm quite excited next to share the garden with you. Still got the cruise videos to make. So thank you so much, folks. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already. And also please remember, leave your experiences in the comments below. Tell us who is a decent UK breakdown provider and who isn't. Thank you. And just leaves me to say from Dougal, from Ted and from me, thanks for tuning in. There, have you recovered from your ordeal, boys? Have you recovered? No, I think they still need a bit more of a nap. I mean, it happened about, what, 4 weeks ago? Yeah. And they're still traumatised. Poor things. Poor things. Right, I've got to get up and turn the camera off now. I'm terribly sorry. I know I've just got you up here, but I need to get up and turn the camera off. Sorry. Can I just, would you mind awfully, would you just, yeah, would you mind awfully, could you just get, Ted, could you just please,